Check, check. That's why. Okay, so now we have some sound here. Let's go to the audio and we're gonna raise it up just a little tiny bit, not too much. All right. So, this is Piercing with Scott. I'm a professional body piercer. This is Scott Wilkinson. This is Scott Wilkinson. All right, so my name is Scott Wilkinson. I'm a professional body piercer. When I lean in too close, I definitely get way too sparkly. So this time we're going to listen to a couple different things. Number one, check it out. I got mantis piercings. All right. So, gonna raise the volume just a little tiny bit here. Gonna raise the volume just a little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit. There we are. Now I can hear myself very, very clearly. This is probably one of the best There we go. Now we're going to talk about nice and evenly. Check this out. So the one reason why, not sure why, but this seems to be registering pretty nicely. Holy shitballs. I've had 1 million views on that video. Huh. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. How is everyone doing? I had no idea I went live here. I'm still trying to figure everything out. Let's take a look who all said hi here. Astrid and Pizza 4 Bob. Nice. Welcome in, guys. It has been a while. I've been really, really busy. I've had a lot of changes in my shop, and things are going pretty good for the most part, though. So, and also, Ghostfield says hi. Katie Rundell. Yeah, glad to be back. Ruru. All right. And Monica Peterson. Hello. And we need to expand this here for a second, so that way I can read all my chats. So yeah, I don't know if anyone's noticed or not, but you can see on the tip of my nose, I do have a new piercing here. I got my mantis piercings done. Kelsey did them at the shop the other week, and everything went really, really well. I did also set up the room to do the recording. Most of my cameras didn't work. One did, and the one that did is kind of like a weird, crazy resolution. So I'm going to get something out for you, whether it's a good quality one or not. it is coming. So we'll work with that. And then tomorrow I have a really cool video coming out called, what am I going to call it? I think Day in the Life of a Piercer. Basically, I just kind of have a little selfie thing and I kind of do a vlog all day, kind of shows all the different things I do, from cleaning tools, piercing people, talking to people, answering phones, you name it. It's pretty much all on there. All right. And let's take a look here. Who else says hi? All right. Well, let's start right in with the question. Savannah has a question here. Hey, when can you go diving, swimming with a new piercing? You added a twist to this, which I am not used to. I've never really asked anyone who said diving before to actually be a diver when I was in swimming when I was in junior high. And I know I did have a couple ear piercings at the time, and they do pull. So the diving thing could be an issue. You might need to wait longer with diving as opposed to the normal swimming. Now, most piercings are considered to be an open wound after about they're only considered an open wound for about a month, and after a month, then everything should be good to go. So certain piercings you can cover up with Tegaderm patches or waterproof band-aids, which can help significantly because it doesn't allow that germs, the bacteria, to cause the infection. Tegaderm patches, there's other waterproof band-aids you can buy at the pharmacy. These work for nipples, maybe an eyebrow if you can get that plastic over your eye, but it's probably not going to work well. Mostly it's nipples, navels, and surface piercings is where they're going to work the best. I kind of have to look in the picture of myself and say, where else would work? Yeah, everything else has too many curves where a round band-aid could truly, truly protect it. So that being said, generally about a month. If it's still bleeding, it doesn't seem good enough, definitely wait longer, listen to your body. So awesome. Emily, I missed you too so much. I mean, yeah, I have so many irregulars here. I've been working with Kelsey too, and Kelsey is going to be starting to do these live streams with me, and we're going to try to do them every week. But like I said, I had huge changes in the shop. I rearranged the structure of my shop, the way things are going, and everything's back to normal again. So, and just out of curiosity, what do you guys think of the sound today? I do have a new microphone. I upgraded my microphone. I'm hoping this is going to make it sound even better yet. Let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. And let's move on to the next question. This is from Emily. How can I deal with piercing bumps on outer labia piercings? Will sea salt soaks help? With the right mixture of sea salt soaks, it can actually help. But the issue is nobody measures properly. No one uses the proper water, and no one uses a clean cup. So all these things are factors. That's why I prefer the wound wash spray as opposed to a straight up sea salt soak. If you don't mix exactly 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt per 8 ounces of water with filtered or distilled water, and then in a nice clean cup, as clean as you can get it, and then you want to actually submerge it, that's going to actually help draw, and you want the water to be hot, but don't burn yourself, and that's going to draw some of that infection out and should help you out quite a bit. A lot of times there are more irritations than infections, and if it is starting to get infected, you should probably see a doctor. But try those, the warm saltwater soaks mixed properly. 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt per 8 ounces of water. If you're going to be lazy, you're only going to guess and you're not going to take it super seriously, only use the wound wash spray. That's why we switch over to the wound wash spray as opposed to the sea salt soaks. In my opinion, sea salt soaks almost can work better, but nobody does them right, so it makes it worse. It's kind of a weird situation. All right, and let's see. Figure out where I'm at here. It's funny, I pressed record on my one recording thing and it went right to YouTube, and I didn't realize this would go immediately live, and here we are. So sorry about the weird intro again. One of these days I'll figure this stuff out. And Plugsley X. Hey Scott, do you have a roadmap for becoming a successful piercer? I feel like I've hit a snag in my career and I'm looking for some sage wisdom. Yes, I do. Now, basically, the thing is take it out of your head and put it into the client's head. One thing we forget is we are customer service and we are trying to make them happy. It's not about us doing a cool piercing and being like, oh, I got to do this today. You should be just as happy doing an industrial, as a nipple, as a navel, as someone's 100th piercing or their first piercing. Everyone should be treated the same, and that changes everything. The mirror in the room, it's so essential that you watch them. Okay, and this is what's going to keep me alive. I get to see people's happiness, that expression of joy and excitement, and acceptance, and you name it. All of those words you can think of that are positive happens in that mirror. And if you as a piercer can kind of see that happen, it keeps it rewarding. So if you do a piercing and then you just like, okay, I'm going to clean up, and you just kind of ignore the happy, joyful moment in the room, it can kind of spoil it for you. So that's one thing that I truly, truly love, is making people happy and watching that happiness explode in the mirror. Now, another thing is don't overdo yourself. A lot of us piercers are like, we need to do like 300 piercings in a day so we can make $1 zillion and this and this and this. You have to pace yourself and not overdo it. If you're going home stressed out and freaked out and worried about your piercings and worried about, you have to leave that stuff at the shop, and you have to go at the pace that keeps you happy and that you can give the best experience to people. When you feel rushed all day, that's when you start getting stressed out and your performance starts going out and you get burnt out and say, I'm done with this. And another big thing is make sure you're happy with the people you work with. If you're working with a bunch of jerks all day long, no matter how much you love your job, you're still going to hate going into work because of those people. So there's a couple little tips for you. I've been doing it just shy of 30 years now, and I still love what I do. There was a time when I thought, I was like, I need to quit. And that's one of the reasons why I moved to Vegas, is because I was like, I needed a change, and I thought I was going to become a truck driver. And once I became the truck driver, I realized I wasn't seeing the country the way I was. I wasn't able to talk to everyone. I wasn't seeing that happiness in the mirror. And I almost went through piercing withdrawals. I mean, every truck stop I was at, I was talking to every server and like, hey, your eyebrow piercing looks a little red. What's going on here? Like, don't worry, I'm a piercer. I'm just truck driving for the time being. And then I realized and woke up, I'm like, I need to be a piercer. So then I kind of just gave up on everything and became the full-time piercer. So that's kind of, get yourself in the right situation. Don't burn yourself out, and look for the happy parts of your job. Yeah, that's what you got to do. Because in reality, it is monotonous. It's the same thing over and over. I can't tell you how many thousands of navels I pierced, and I could care less about that. I got to make 1,000 people happy. That's what really matters. All right, let's move on to Cami Cushion. That was a great question, Plugsley. Thank you very much. So Cami Cushion says, hi, Scott. Hello, Cami. Well, welcome in. Twist Turns and Tarot. Hello, Scott. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing really, really well. I got an early start on my live chat here, and that kind of messed me up because I accidentally pressed record. But you know what? It is what it is. All right. And Rebecca B. We got a question. Oh, I just lost my spot. Rebecca B. Congrats on the new mantis piercings. They look awesome. You know what? They felt so cool to get done. It was a little bit of a sharp pinch, but I think I finally completed my nose. Believe it or not, I think I'm done piercing my nose. Thank you. And Astrid Posey. Hey, so I'm a gender. It might be transgender. I'm not sure. Hopefully, I don't know what I'm reading here. Anyways, I have spider bites and lobes. I am wondering what piercings scream non-binary the most. I'm not sure piercings are gendered, but which are perceived as such. Okay, so this is a great question. Piercings are for everyone. Piercings are for everyone. If it makes you feel good about it, go for it. If you think that the one piercing is going to influence you one way or another, it's all perception in our heads. So if it makes you happy, that's what you need to do. Now, it does come from the whole gay community way back in the 70s, and that's what basically made it big. And before that, every generation, every culture really did this, but it was the gay community that really brought things to life here. So it doesn't really matter. A piercing doesn't make you straight or gay or trans or this or this. Only you are that. And if it makes you feel better about the direction you want to go, that's what you need to get. Now, as far as spider bites and lobes, I don't really feel like personally any piercing says one thing or another. I guess you could almost look at like a Monroe piercing sometimes as a little bit more feminine, but at the same time, like, I don't think it really matters. It's get what you want. You live life how you want to live, and the piercings are just accentuations to that. So, yeah. But I think they would be awesome. I do love spider bites. All right, and moving on to Saria V. Hopefully I said that right. Hello, Scott. Big hugs from Romania in London. Big hug from a Romanian in London. I got that totally wrong. That's awesome. Thank you. Big hugs back to you, Katie Rundell. So I've been wondering, how will an 8-gauge conch affect my healing snug on the same ear? I'm wondering, how will an 8-gauge conch affect my healing? It really shouldn't too much. If you're sleeping on that ear, that's what's causing the problems for your healing. If you have way too many piercings healing at once, that might impede and slow down the healing process. But honestly, the only concern I would have would be the piercing itself, is if the piercer is leaning and irritating your snug piercings as they're piercing your conch. That would be the only factor. Otherwise, it should be totally fine. So, all right, and moving on to Chris Grin. Hi, Scott. April Holland says, hi, Scott. Is there anything I can do when my piercer pierced my nose? Is there anything I can do when my piercer pierced me noticeably crooked? I really don't want to have to get my bridge re-pierced. Thank you. My question is how old is your piercing? A lot of times these bridge piercings swell quite a bit. They don't swell symmetrically, so therefore it will cause it to look really crooked, and once swelling goes down, a lot of times it straightens back out. Sometimes shortening the bar can really help that out too. Now, if it was initially crooked right away, let's get it redone. I know you don't want to redo it. If you trust the piercer, they'll see how it was crooked before, and they'll be able to kind of adjust and fix that accordingly. The sooner you take it out, the sooner you can get it pierced. The sooner you take it out, the less scars you're going to have on your original bridge piercing. But if you're not happy now, you're never really going to be happy, so just take it out and get it redone. Sorry. All right, and moving on to, you know what? I did this before where I highlight stuff, and it makes me not lose my spot as much. I'm learning as I go. Joette James, is it normal for a helix to still be tender to touch after 10 weeks? For sure. Everyone heals completely differently on these cartilage piercings. Cartilage doesn't get a lot of blood flow, therefore they take a long time to heal. Sometimes I've seen these take over a year to heal. So for only 10 weeks in and still being a little tender, it does happen. I tell people it's like a bruise. If you have a bruise on your arm and you're constantly, like, it hurts when I do this, it hurts. Does it hurt when you don't touch it? Then it's probably totally okay. But if it's just throbbing and painful, then you should look into that, because maybe the jewelry's too long or too tight. You're not cleaning it with the proper materials or supplies, I should say. So in general, it's going to be like a bruise, but it shouldn't be hurting. All right. And on to Ursula's Odds and Sods. Thank you for asking so many questions here. We love having you here. We love having our regulars. And every time I see these names, it just makes me smile. So thanks for being here. Are flares on glass stretching plugs so long to give them extra? Are flares on glass stretching plugs so long to give them extra weight? Oh, I see what you're saying. Are they bigger to give it more? No, not necessarily. I've reached a 1/2 inch a week and a half ago, and the flares are hanging down, making my lobes look a bit weird. It depends on the company you buy your jewelry from. I've seen glass flares where there's barely any lip and they don't even hold things in, and I've seen them kind of like my nostril. I don't know if you can zoom in here. You can see how these things have a way bigger flare, and it actually makes it look like my jewelry's bigger than it actually is. All the metal you can see, that's the actual flare on there. So it depends on the style. That's pretty much what it comes down to. So. And congratulations on getting to 1/2 inch. That's pretty cool. Cheers. Everyone knows I love my Dutch brothers. Kathy Jewels, is it normal for my bridge to need a shorter bar constantly over time? I feel as though I changed the bar shorter like 2 or 3 times now, and I've had it about 1.5 years. Yes and no. Sometimes if you shorten it so much that it's pinching, your body's going to kind of reject it or adjust so it needs to. And when you kind of squint to make your eyes, the skin's going to fluctuate and go back and forth. So sometimes you're going to have just a little bit of tiny bar showing, and that is okay. Now, if it seems like the bar is like definitely way too long and you short it up and it's way too long, keep your eye on it, make sure it's not rejecting out. If you take your jewelry or you look behind it, you'll almost see like a path of old scar tissue where it used to be and where it is now. And if it's rejecting out and it keeps doing this, take it out, because if it rejected all the way out, you're going to have a huge, nasty scar on your bridge. And if you're not sure, go talk to your piercer. But yeah, I've downsized mine a couple times in the past. It's pretty normal. Hey Scott. I don't, and this is from a Rebecca B, by the way. I don't know if you can see it, but it looks like you might have missed a question up top from user 1312. Would also love to hear your answer if you don't mind. Well, let me scroll. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. 1312. There it is. I see it. What's your take on inclusive piercings nomenclature? I've heard my opinions that I also tend to agree with that female male piercings are perhaps the most accurate terms to use. It's always the scariest thing. You know, people can get canceled so easily. I think I agree female male piercings is going to be what I use. Now, that's what I've used for almost 30 years in this industry. I guess you almost could say like penis vulva piercings, but penis doesn't always accurately describe that because you have guiche piercings and scrotum piercings. So I don't know what other, so it's easier for me to say male/female piercings depending on the number of piercings. I have a video coming out that's going to be just like I've done every facial piercing, I've done every ear piercing, and I've been kind of wondering the same thing about this, and I don't know what truly appropriate is, and I don't ever mean to offend. That is not my intention, but I don't know how to name that video either. It's like every male piercing because, like I said, there's guiche, there's scrotum, there's pubic piercings, which don't fall on the actual penis itself. And vulva is a better term because it pretty much encompasses everything, but it's weird to say vulva and male piercings too. So I don't know. It's a great question, and I know that you're looking at this now saying, oh, you skipped it on purposely. No, I really accidentally did miss this one because this is a great question. I personally think male-female piercings, when you're talking about genital piercings, is the easier terminology. Easier yet is to just describe the individual piercing. For instance, I got a Prince Albert piercing. Instead of saying, hey, I got a male piercing, I got a Prince Albert piercing, or I got a penis piercing. Same thing with, you know, VCH or hood or labia or triangle or all these things because they're very specific to one type of part. So it's easier to say that, but where I run into troubles, I don't know, troubles are right. It's tough. It's really, really tough. What do you guys use? Let me know in the comments. All right. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to scroll back down here. And thanks, Rebecca. All right. Iris Castling. I'm struck down between a vertical lip piercing or a labret. Is it worth favoring the lip to avoid the gum damage? I think so. Labret piercings are so easily to irritate your gums and your teeth. It's easy to get in the habit of playing with them. That was my issues. I constantly bit down on it, and I eroded a lot of the enamel on my teeth, and I couldn't stop playing with it no matter how short of a bar I did or what I did. So vertical labrets are definitely easier to avoid teeth and gum damage. So if it's a concern, that's what I would go with. Iris Casling. Nope, we just said that. Alyssa Sternfield. Responding to Ed James, my helix is still tendered after a year. They are the slowest of the healings. You're right. They are extremely slow healing. So patience is the key, and don't sleep on it. If you're sleeping on it, get one of those little donut pillows, the piercing pillows. They work amazing. All right, changing camera views again, getting all fancy. And Myron the Bug. Hey, I've had my industrial pierce for over a year now. I don't sleep on it. I clean it with the aftercare mist that you recommend on your channel. And there's still a tiny bump. What should I do? Sometimes it depends on how big of a bump we're actually talking about. If it's just a raise of the skin, that's going to go away once the piercing's gone away because we never remove tissue. You make a crescent incision, push tissue off to the side, but because we do that, that tissue has to go somewhere. So sometimes you get a little bit of a raised moundish area around the piercing, and sometimes over time it relaxes more and kind of dissipates and goes back in. Now, if it's a full-on bump that won't go away, sometimes if the piercings were pierced at slightly different angles, that can be the cause of that bump, and that could be the reason why. So the only other thing is if it's irritated, maybe try some emu oil. Just be patient, and hopefully it does get better for you. Like I said, if it's a big bump, it could be from the angle of the piercing. Now, if you've had it that long, if you unscrew one side and you kind of pull your jewelry out, if the jewelry just starts kind of cocking off to one side like that, that means it was probably pierced at a different angle, and that's why you have the bumps. So hopefully that helps. And moving on to Savannah. Are nostril piercing bumps inevitable, even if you don't bump it? No. It's a simple answer. No, they're not inevitable. I've seen nostril piercings heal up extremely clean, fast, without any issues. But one thing we don't realize is we hit our nose on everything. And I'm realizing this week. You can't believe how much you hit the tip of your nose. Like every shirt that rubs up against it, every towel, sleeping on our pillowcases, there's a lot of little tiny irritation things that can happen. Now, the other thing is if you go to a piercer who knows what they're doing, they're going to be going perpendicular to the tissue, which means completely straight through. Now, if they go at a weird angle, sometimes people pierce straight down. You're going the long way through the tissue, and like going at an angle like that creates weak angles, which cause the bumps to happen. So it depends on the angle you're pierced at and if you're getting caught on things. But no, it's not inevitable. And Shalyn Orviez, hopefully I said that right. Hey, Scott, thank you for all the great education content you create. I'm a big fan. Well, thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here. I got my septum pierced at a 10 gauge about a week ago, and I'm so happy I didn't stress out too much about the size because of you. Thank you so much. It sounds like you had a great experience. Now, if you go to a good piercer for a septum, it doesn't matter if it's a 16 gauge or a 10 gauge or an 8 gauge. They're all going to feel the same if you don't hit the cartilage. It's tougher to do, so you want to find a good piercer for this. But yeah, congratulations on the 10 gauge septum. That's really, really awesome. All right, and Redneck Retro Gamer. Man, I'm still waiting to see another what piercing should I get. I'm still trying to figure out how to do those videos again because it's still slightly over my head. I got a new IT guy who's helping me out, so hopefully soon I will get him. I'll try to work on it more today again. It's a lot of work, but I'll get there for you guys, I promise. Dylan Holton, where should I start with male genital piercings? I've been pierced at least 20 times, and I'm running out of room on my face and starting ears. I have an industrial in one ear, orbital in the flat. Awesome. Cool. So you got some pretty cool piercings on your ears, your face. A great place to start with genitals. There's several of them, actually. You could go with scrotum piercing, which is not going to interfere with urinating, any sexual activity, things like that. They generally heal pretty good. Frenum piercings, which is the skin on the underside, those work really well and they heal really fast. Prince Alberts are also great starters. They're not very painful, but it seems scary because you have to stick the tube down the urethra, which is kind of uncomfortable, but they still heal pretty fast. But sometimes you do have to sit to urinate with a Prince Albert. Beyond that, some of the other genital piercings like Amplang, Apodravia, Didos, pubic, they can be a little bit rougher. Oh, I want to say Guiche too. Guiche is another good starter because it's a fairly easy healer. So that's pretty much what we're looking at is the longer healing, more painful ones can scare people away from the piercings, but the basics like the frenums, Prince Alberts, scrotums, they're pretty easy to get. And you can get multiple in a sitting if you wanted to. Well, not the Prince Albert, but the other ones you can. All right, and Rebecca B., what do you do when you get sick and all of your piercings suddenly start getting bumps? Also, would you recommend not getting pierced until the illness has passed? 100%. Yeah, you need to wait until you're pierced, until you're feeling good again, and give it a good couple weeks afterwards. I found that sometimes people come in a week after like, oh, I just got done having the flu, had the worst week, I've been wanting to get this pierced. They get pierced and they almost immediately get sick again because your immune system is diminished and it's been trying to heal up that sickness. And you want to get back to normal and rejuvenate for a couple weeks, like a week or two afterwards at least, before you get re-pierced. And it's definitely going to help speed up the healing process. Multivitamins can help, zinc supplements to boost your immune system. And as far as the bumps go, a lot of times they go away. It's an irritation bump because your body's upset and it's upset with all parts of your body when you're sick. Maybe emu oil. And just don't pop it, pick at it. Just take care of your piercings, keep the crusties off, and generally they go away pretty quick. All right. And Shy Baby says hi. Hi. I just bumped my... these Mantis piercings. I'm hitting them on everything. They look good today, but honestly, they bled for the first 2 days because I think I caught them on everything. I might have to switch a jewelry out. I don't know if you can see or not, but I got these like... switch angles there. You can see they're like these little tiny spikes, and they look super cute, and they have like a little gem in the front, but they're getting caught on everything. I might need to go to discs until these heal up. All right, moving on to Mitchell Kanzowicz. Hello, Scott. Can I get a magic cross behind the without taking the PA out? Okay. So a magic cross is basically the ampling horizontal through the head of the penis and an apodravia vertical through the head of the penis, kind of creating the cross. Now, an apodravia typically goes through the spot where the Prince Albert comes out, because the Prince Albert's in the urethra, out the back or bottom of the head. Now, if you were doing, kind of depends on your PA. If your PA is a little shallow and it's more in the head and there's room to go behind, you totally can. But at the same time, you don't want to go too much of an angle, because you're trying to go perpendicular through the tissue as much as you can. But if you go too much of an angle and it comes out through the back here, it could cause problems. You're going to really need to talk to your piercer about this one. A lot of times people retire their Prince Albert and just get the apodravia. So I have seen both, but it depends on your anatomy. Good question. Now, Dylan Holton says, I plan to get 10 gauge conches and have both nipples pierced. Awesome. Hopefully it's not all in one sitting, because that'd kick your butt. You can still do it, but it might kick your butt and you're not going to have a side to sleep on for quite a while, other than your back. So keep that in mind. And Annalise Gray says, just finished reading the book Jade City, which is in which characters pierce themselves with magical dermal jade studs to give them superpowers. Sure enough, they never mentioned potential infection or rejection. They're magical. If they're magical, they're not going to reject, right? I mean, that's the first thing that pops into my head. That's really magical dermal jade studs. That's kind of cool. I'm curious, are they like, do they go all the way through? Are they like dermal anchors where they kind of have like that little foot on the inside and they spread out? Is it a temporary thing? Is that what makes them the actual magical and superhero type stuff? Or that's really cool. I'm gonna have to look into that. That sounds kind of fun. Thanks for sharing. All right, and Dylan Holton says, also advice on my septum stretching. Mine is an 8 gauge and wanting to get to a 2 gauge for a septral. Awesome, dude. Now the thing is you got to take your time. You're getting to the point where the stretches are getting more and more difficult to do. In my opinion, stacking is the answer, which means wearing multiple pieces of jewelry instead of just going from the 8 to the 6. Maybe start getting a bunch of 16 gauge clickers or 18 gauge and keep adding more so you have a bunch in there. That seems to stretch it out a lot faster and a little bit easier, in my opinion. But also, like, if you stack to get to the 6, that might be the easiest way to do it. And then once you get to 6 and it relaxes, stacks back. So you kind of keep that rounder shape so you can still do the septral. I don't think if you went from here and you started stacking where it would misshape your septum where you couldn't get a septral. I don't think that would be the case at all. But it is still nice to kind of have that rounder surface to bring it closer to the tip so it's not as thick. So, yeah, patience, about a month and a half, 2 months minimum between each stretch. Once you go bigger, sometimes it is several months. Some people, now when I do a septum piercing, I'm sticking my fingers in there, of course, with gloves on, and I'm feeling for the sweet spot. And sometimes I have to almost separate the cartilage. Sometimes there's already a natural big gap. That's the size of the sweet spot, and that can kind of determine how fast you actually stretch. Now, if you are dissipating and kind of pushing away some of that cartilage, I have a feeling that it takes longer for your stretches to feel more comfortable and natural again. So that's why it kind of gets a little slower as you go a little bit bigger. So just patience. Yeah, you'll get there, and that's awesome. I'm excited to see it. And Tierra Smith says, hello, I just got my lobe repaired from a tear due to wearing heavy jewelry as a child. I would like to stretch my lobe one day. Is it possible to do that? Yes. Repaired earlobe piercings can totally be stretched. The thing is scar tissue is weaker than normal tissue, so you would need to be careful so you don't create thin spots, and you just got to repair from a tear. So as far as the piercing goes, if you can pierce slightly off of the scar tissue so you're not stretching the actual scar tissue, it'll actually make it a little bit easier and kind of push things away. Keep in mind the scar tissue is going to kind of shape the ear. You'll need to talk to a piercer with some experience on this one and let them know what you want to do. And also, maybe even start at a larger size. You know, that might work better to kind of keep the shape of your actual ear with that scar tissue. Once you get it repaired, you're going to want to give it months and months to heal up. I know a lot of doctors say, oh, you're good after like 2 months. No, you're not. You need to kind of massage, break down that scar tissue, get your ear feeling as close to normal as possible. I would suggest a good 6 months minimum before you get it re-pierced. Let that thing fully heal up, and then maybe start it at a 10 or an 8 gauge. That might actually work out better because you'll be able to start with the round shape hole and not worry about the scar tissue influencing where the piercing is going to stretch or push off into one angle. Kind of migration, I guess. Oh no. Okay, so the words on my screen here got really weird. So Annalise Grace has just finished reading. Oh, that's what I just read. There's other words mixed in with it. I'm having computer problems. Hopefully everything's still good here. So, all right. And Claudette Johnson. Can I have more than one vaginal piercing? Yes, 100%. I've seen people with like 20 piercings. You can get almost ladders on the inner labia, the outer labia. You can get VCHs, that's called Princess Diana, where you get the double on the top. You can get fourchette, multiple there. You can get pubic piercings higher up in the mound. You get Christina piercings. Christinas are generally done singular. So yeah, it kind of depends on what you want, but yeah, you can get multiple piercings. Great question. Linda, hi Scott, can labrets grow into the lip after a while, and would it be better to use a ring then? Yes, a lot of times we say that labret piercings or lip piercings with labrets in them are going to create nesting. Nesting is where the disc goes into the lip a little bit because that tissue is so soft, and what's going to happen is it's going to just kind of pull it away from your teeth and gums. In my opinion, I think it's a great thing. If you take your piercing out, the piercing is going to close really quick and it goes back to normal. So it's nothing to worry about. Now, if you downsize your jewelry too much and it's getting sucked all the way in, then it's going to be an issue. Now, the thing is a lot of times people keep downsizing, pushing the disc further and further in the lip where it can close up over the top. So it's going to be a little loose. You won't always, you're not going to just see the bead or the gem on the outside. Sometimes you see a little bit of the bar because of that nesting, and it's going to rest to where it needs to relax. Something we need to keep in mind is when we sleep at night that our heads are down and there's more blood flow to our head. Therefore, our lip or oral piercings do swell at night, and we need to accommodate room for the laying down as well as the normal sitting up or standing up throughout the day. So that's why that kind of happens. Yeah, it does get sucked in a little tiny bit. Kind of depends on the length of the jewelry you're wearing, but totally normal. All right, and let's try to speed things up a little bit. I'm really wordy today. I apologize for that. I'll try to get through these faster. Shallon Ortevez, cheers from Dutch Bros. Cheers to the Dutch Bros. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Love my coffee. Love Dutch Brothers. If you're not familiar with Dutch Brothers, it's such a cool company. They do so many charity things, give to ALS. They do animal things. They feed the homeless. And their coffee is good. I prefer it to Starbucks. I used to be a Starbucks person, and I can't even drink it anymore because maybe it's because I'm just addicted and that's what I'm used to. But I don't know. I like Dutch Brothers a lot. And Charlie Wilkinson. My last name's Wilkinson. I've always wondered about that. Like, were we always one or the other and someone just, wrote a letter wrong down? Wilkerson to Wilkinson? I don't know. Anyways, would you happen to have advice on studying the anatomy on yays or nays for piercings? And wouldn't or wouldn't be more an eye in-person experience? Let's try that again. I'm not reading really well today. Would you happen to have advice to study an anatomy on yays or nays for piercings? Or would it be more of an eye in a person experience? Okay, so you do have to study. And I think that's one of the bigger differences from a lot of the newer piercers to the older style piercers. Back in the day when I first started piercings, the internet really wasn't around, and I had to study these piercings. Piercing was a lot of people call it the Wild West of piercings because we didn't know what we were doing, and I had to have a Gray's Anatomy book, and I was like, I would open that up, and that's how I studied. I would go to a Perkins, which is like a restaurant, and I would have my anatomy book, and I would be studying the ear. I'd study the names, their nerves, where do the blood vessels go, where do this. So I understand the workings of the ear and anatomy of the body. I remember the first time I had my mandible piercing, which is behind the chin and into the mouth. My friend and I did so much studying, and there's a lot to avoid, and it's an extremely dangerous piercing, but we felt confident and I guess and cocky enough that we were going to do it, and that shouldn't ever be done. You should be smarter than that, but I was young and naive. So yeah, so I study things and I understand where they are. Like for the mandible piercing, I know you have jugulars, which are lower. There's no way you're gonna hit it, but you have jugular veins, which run along the cheek here. And like from here down, like the jaw from the molars back, I know that there's some serious veins you need to avoid. And you also have a couple glands running right up in the middle. And I remember thinking we have about a 1/2 inch gap where if we don't hit that, we should be totally fine, which is crazy. You know, it's a crazy, crazy piercing. But yeah, do some studying. If you don't know, look what the concerns would be. You know, there's been enough piercings now where you could probably look up dangers of certain piercings and just go online. Yeah, if you're not sure about a piercing, what's the worst thing that can happen? You might lose an earlobe. You could get, who knows? Who knows? So yeah, that's the way I do it. Chris Grin, I got snug piercings 5 months ago, had bumps after 2 months. Can I remove the earrings to let the bumps heal? Reinserting once daily so it doesn't close, or should I keep earrings in consistently or constantly? You need to leave it in there. If you're taking the jewelry in and out, I guarantee you're going to need to re-stretch the whole back open, which is going to re-irritate it, and those bumps will get 2 to 3 times the size. So you need to leave it in there. If you haven't downsized to a shorter post, make sure you have the appropriate size jewelry in there. Hopefully you're only cleaning up maybe once a day with the wound wash, maybe twice if you have the crusties and need to get it off there. And also check into that emu oil for the bumps, because emu oil really, really can help quite a bit. So yeah, good luck. But no, don't take it out. The thing is when we do a piercing, we're making a crescent incision, pushing the tissue off to the side. Now with cartilage, it naturally is just going to close right back up. So the hole may not close, but it's going to shrink up enough to where you can't get jewelry in there. Awesome, awesome, awesome question. I use daily saline solution on it, by the way. Perfect, perfect. Hellcat says, hey, Scott, what's happening? All right, Kathy Jules, are pregnant women safe to get pierced in early pregnancy? I might be pregnant and I'm going to take a test either tomorrow or Friday, but I'm really want my Medusa pierced. Super, super important. No, it is not safe for you to get pierced. Piercings can take a while to heal. They're considered to be open wounds. And if you are pregnant, to my understanding is if you got some sort of a bacterial infection, that could spread to the baby, and bacterial infections inside when the baby's in the womb, they can't treat it. So it's extremely, extremely dangerous. If you know or think you're pregnant, you need to not get pierced or get tested first before you actually do this. I know you really want it, but baby's number one. It's not worth it. Every state I've ever been to has laws stating that you are not allowed to pierce pregnant women. And the same thing goes to nursing. Now, when you're nursing, if you're not supposed to get pierced until 6 months after you're nursing, if you're still considering nursing, because if you had any sort of infection there, it's going to be coming out of the milk and feeding to the baby. So after 6 months, the baby's strong enough to fight off any of those things, and it's not as much of a concern. So keep that in mind. I mean, baby comes first. Always, always, always. Glad you asked that. And Dylan Holden says, sick clutcher. By the way, Scott, thank you for all the wonderful information. Can you also explain bevel theory for those of us who don't know? Yes, let's start with the shirt. Clutch It's my favorite band in the entire world. Let me lean out of the way. And I just went and saw them live a couple nights ago here in Las Vegas. They're amazing. I think I've seen them close to 20 times now. I'll always go see them if I get the chance. Bevel theory. Yes, I can help you out real quick with that. It's funny because I have my dry erase board here, and it's still set up from the last bevel theory thing I've kind of explained here. Now, the thing is the length of the needle, the top part of the needle, is what a lot of people line things up to, and they think that that's what's going to create the straight line. But this is what does the cut. It's the bevel of the needle. So therefore, you need to kind of angle the piercing up this way if you want the piercing to go straight across. It seems backwards and wrong, but you're following the bevel of the needle, not the top flat part of the actual the tube of the needle. And it can cause drift and things like that. Now, certain piercings are more affected than others. The deeper the piercing, the more drift you're going to get. A septum piercing's paper thin, you're going to have minimal drift, but it's there. Now, if you have a surface piercing on the back of your neck where you're doing like a 3/4 of an inch or an inch long bar, you're definitely going to have more drift, and you have to accommodate for that. And that's pretty much what needle drift is. As a newer piercer, I'm trying to think, does it really affect? It's going to affect you because you're going to get a lot of crooked piercings and you're not sure why they're turning out crooked. And like my aim's on. And if you adjust to the bevel, it should help significantly. I hope that helps. All right. And Nita sends in a super chat. Thank you very much. What's the story behind Princess Diana piercing? I tried looking it up. I wish I had an answer for you. I'm about 99.9% sure that she did not have that piercing done. I'm guessing maybe they're trying to similar names to like a Prince Albert, but there's also the Princess Albertina, which is a dangerous piercing, which goes in the urethra, out the vagina, which is super, super crazy. I won't even do those piercings. But the story behind Princess... You know, when I did my video on it, The Whole Truth, I looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't find any information on it. So I'm not even sure who named it that. I hope she's not offended by it. So yeah, I don't have an answer. But good question. Good question. There's a lot of questions that just don't have answers out there. A lot of them are just myths and kind of legends. And that started from the get-go. That started from Doug Malloy. Doug Malloy is one of the 3 founding fathers of body piercing, and they opened up the first gathering or studio in 77. I think they started in 1975. But I believe, to the stories I've been told, that Doug Malloy used to make up stories to get hype and kind of things going with the piercing world. So they're not sure what all is true and what is. Like the whole the Prince Albert thing, where supposedly he would like use that to tie around his legs so he wouldn't have a bulge in his pants or something like that. No proof that that really happened. Yeah, it's a good story, but there's no proof that it happened, so I don't really know. Okay, and I lost my spot. Time to drink some coffee. Cheers, everyone. Oh, hey, if you haven't done so, make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe. It totally helps us out. We love having you here, and that way you get notified when we actually do these videos for you. All right. Okay, and Astrid says, for note, agender is pronounced agender, just the way I just said it right there. I must have, and it just means no gender. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I guess I wasn't aware of that one. So very awesome. Very awesome. Thank you for clarifying that. And Vinay, love the new piercings. Thank you. I appreciate it too. And Sai, hey Scott, what's the best way to stretch a helix? Wanting to create a faux coin slot look since I don't want to commit to the cutting part of my ear. Totally understand. It's a super intimidating thing and very, very scary. Best way to stretch a helix. Not easily. It'd probably be easier to start with a slightly bigger piercing if you don't have it already. What I mean by that is maybe start with a 10 gauge, because if you took a 10 gauge out, it's still going to mostly close on you. Keep in mind, if you're stretching a helix piercing to a large size, it might stay open too. So that's kind of a factor. You might want to do a couple 10 gauge piercings, you know, like one, like maybe 3 of them, heal them up. And that way you can put some stacks in each of them that are close enough where it's going to replicate that, because you're not, generally when you stretch in a round circle. It's tough to stretch elongated wise. I'm not saying it's not possible. I just don't think it's that feasible. So that's what I would do, is I would do more of the 3 larger gauge piercings next to each other and stack it inside of those. Stretching an initial piercing sometimes takes a long time. Going from like a 16 gauge to a 14 gauge, I would say you have to have the piercing probably at least a year, and sometimes year and a half, 2 years before it's loose enough where you can get multiple piercings inside there. So I'm just amazed by you guys. I truly am. You guys give me new questions every week, and I feel like, oh, I've answered every question. This is just going to be super easy, and I just keep getting hit one after another. Thank you. I love this. I love all you guys. This is so amazing. And moving on to Joe Moore. Yo, just wanted to pop in and say what up from the piercing. What's up, Joe? How you doing, man? I'm doing really well. Glad you're here. Thanks for coming in and saying hi. We have another shop in town called The Piercing Shop. Joe's a friend of mine. He pierces over there. There's a couple piercing-only studios here in Vegas, and they're one of the other ones. And when I first moved to Vegas, that's actually where I first started piercing. So I worked there for a short amount of time, went back to the trucking school, and then eventually just opened my own studio. But good to have you here, Joe. Thank you. All right, MM, can I get an Austin bar if I already have a septum? 100%. If they're doing your Austin bar that deep through the septum, that's almost considered to be a nasolang. An Austin bar is just through the tip of the nose, and it's not going in or out of any other tissue. And an actual cat. I can't believe we have an actual cat here typing, asking questions about piercings. You'd think with those paws it wouldn't work very well. And I love having you here. I know I've seen your name so many times before, so thank you very much. Awesome mantis piercings you got there. Tell us about the experience and when you got them. Yeah, so I got these done on last Friday, I believe. Yes. Yeah, I got them done last Friday because Kelsey and I worked together on that Friday. We did them at the end of the evening. I spent a lot of time getting all my cameras and everything set up. You will see that super soon. We're getting really close, but I recorded the piercing, but it came out at like too high resolution. It looks kind of weird. I'm going to see if I can adjust it to actually show you guys. It was such a good experience. I got pierced by Kelsey, and piercing another piercer is about as intimidating as it gets, because you know that they're critiquing everything you do, and just I know that's what goes through my head. I love doing it, and I'll always pierce other piercers. Some piercers won't even do it; they're just freaked out by it. But Kelsey, like I felt the needle rest on the tip of my nose, and I felt no shakiness whatsoever. It was incredibly smooth. She pierced my nape, but I can't see what's going on. It's not as sensitive a tissue, so I couldn't realize how smooth she actually was. So props to you, Kelsey. It was super smooth. It did make my eyes water a little tiny bit. I'm gonna show you the video. I'll probably be able to get up this week here. I'm gonna post it no matter how good a quality it is, because I want you guys to see me getting it pierced. It's good enough. I just got to work with the editing a little bit. So I love them. I love them. We did pierce with 5/16 of an inch, and I did overswell a little bit. So the next day, did I get pierced on Thursday? We did it for. Nope, I got it pierced on the Friday, and then I actually came in on last Tuesday. I'm getting my days all confused. It's almost not quite a week old. But anyways, I overswelled, had to put longer posts in there, and now they're doing absolutely perfect. My left side did bleed. I bled for a couple days. It just kind of kept getting a big blood scab on the outside of my nose, and it drove me nuts, but it's eventually done bleeding. Hopefully that side heals faster, because like I said, when piercings bleed, there's more blood flow and they heal much quicker. So yeah, it was a fantastic experience. I'd love to get pierced by Kelsey again, and I'm sure I will. All right, and Kathy Jules. My daughter consistently rips out my nostril piercings. Is there anything I can do to reduce the irritation? Yeah. First of all, maybe get some threadless jewelry in there, so it's not the L-bar or the nostril screw, and you can probably get it a little bit more snug. I'm not sure what you have for jewelry, but maybe get something less of a profile, maybe a disc, a bezel gem, something small that doesn't stick out, and something they can't grab a hold of. And yeah, if you have a young one who's probably the 1 to the 2 range, their hands are quick. You just got to get quicker. Yeah, I wish I could. Maybe Band-Aids? If you know you're holding her for the next, I mean, if you need to let it heal up for a couple weeks and she needs to keep her hands off, maybe put a Band-Aid over it during the day. I don't always suggest that, but I mean, maybe that could help it because she'll get the Band-Aid before the jewelry. Good luck. All right. And an actual cat says, awesome mantis piercings you got there. Oh, that's what I already did. Thank you. And GKNXXP. How hard is it to heal horizontal eyebrows with a surface bar, and what should I watch out for? It really kind of depends on where the piercing is placed at. Generally, they heal pretty well as far as surface piercings go. Now, if your skin is really tight and taut and you can't grab skin, those are more prone to rejecting out than the looser tissue when we can get it a little bit deeper and anchored in a little bit more. Now, when we do the surface bar, when you first get it done, take a picture of it because you're going to see how the discs or the beads are sitting fairly flush to the skin. Now, over time, it's going to raise a little bit, but if it starts sticking way out or the bar seems like it's getting way longer, then it's rejecting and you should just take it out. So once you got the L part of the surface bar sticking all the way out of your piercing, you're pretty much done, and your best bet is just to retire it out. Either they heal or they don't, so just be patient with it. All right, and we got another super chat here, and let's figure out where that's at. There it is. Dianus. Hi, Scott. I recently changed my jewelry. Would love to place a nose chain on the center of the nostril piercing. Okay, let's try this again. Hi, Scott. I recently changed my jewelry. Would you place a nose chain in the center of my nostril piercing that are a little further apart? Love you lots. Recently changed my jewelry. Place nose chain in the center nostril piercing. Chains can work. I mean, chains come in different lengths. I'm assuming you have one on each side. At first, I was kind of reading as like you might have a double piercing, but you can connect any 2 piercings with a chain. So you just got to be careful it's not getting caught on things, getting snagged. You want the piercing to be healed up enough. Generally, the way the chains work is sometimes they're either attached to a threadless piece where you can kind of just push it in, or there's a little... or there's a jump ring with a chain attached to it. So you take the top off, put the jump ring on there, and you close it back up. So it should work really well. And again, chains come in many, many lengths. At my shop, we're in the process of actually being able to make custom chains, welding them directly to the jewelry or to the jump rings themselves. So yeah, definitely you can do that. If it's irritated or sore, you definitely want to wait longer though. All right, and moving on to Abigail. Hey, Scott, I got my belly button pierced a little over a week ago. How long would you wait to change it? Till it's healed. It's really that simple. I would say a minimum of 4 months. Sometimes it does take all the way up to a full year. If you're wearing high-waisted pants and it's staying irritated, expect a year. If it's low-rise pants and you're not irritating it, yeah, 4 months, you should be able to change your piercing out. If it's red or irritated, don't do it. And also, what is your opinion on Bioplast jewelry? I don't like it. That's my opinion. It's plastic, it's porous. They're okay for more of a semi-permanent retainer, where if you have to wear or hide something for work every day, because the Bioplast, the tops stand a little better than the O-rings, but at the same time, I'm not a fan of it for everyday jewelry. It's more for retainers. And now, the way it's kind of like a threadless piece of jewelry, the Bioplast, when the plastic end goes in, it almost flares and trumpets out the tip of the jewelry, which can cause irritation as it comes in and out. So, yeah, just not a fan. Metal, glass, but not plastic. And Kathy Jules, my ears tore when I stretched to 0 gauge and wanted to start stretching again now, and they are healed up. Any advice on how to do it safely? Listen to your body. What happened last time? How did they end up tearing? Did you hurt yourself when you're doing the stretch? Because a proper stretch shouldn't hurt. Do this in the shower. The hot water kind of loosens tissue up. Maybe look at doing some tape. If you went to a 0 before, The double zero is a little bit easier to kind of take your zero gauge plug, a little bit of Teflon tape, do 1 or 2 wraps every couple days, and you should be able to kind of gradually get up there without doing the damage. Do not stretch with silicone. That will create little micro tears and just open that tear back up again. So just be patient. Be patient, and when you pull down on those zero gauge, you should be able to see light through it, and the next size should almost fall into place. Keep in mind, we say 6 to 8 weeks minimum. Minimum doesn't mean you can do it in the 6 to 8 weeks. Sometimes it does take several months after that. So, cool. Glad that healed up for you too. And Ursula's Odds and Sods. I've heard some piercers saying that the Q-tip test is outdated and not always accurate. All that matters is being able to fit a receiving tube under the hood. Is this a new industry standard? I don't know who has said that. I still do the Q-tip test because if you can't get a Q-tip under there, you can't get a receiving tube under there. If you can't get a receiving tube under there, the tissue is too shallow to pierce, and it's not enough to be comfortable. You're not going to be happy with your piercing. So like I said, okay, by the way, let's back up just a half a step here. We're talking about VCH piercings, vertical clitoral hood piercings, where there's a flap of skin. The clitoris is right here, and we're just doing the skin just like so. Now, the thing is if the head of the Q-tip doesn't fit underneath that hood, you don't have enough tissue to pierce. It's pretty darn accurate. It's pretty darn accurate. Sometimes you can get away with a little less than that, but I mean, if the Q-tip doesn't even go under there, you're not really a candidate for this. I'm old school. I kind of agree with the Q-tip test still. Not always accurate. You know what? They're general rules. I mean, yeah, sometimes it can be bent a little bit, but if there's no pocket, it's not going to work. And Yasbu, hi Scott. I'm from Greece and I love your videos. Well, thank you for all the way from Greece. That's pretty rad. Glad you could be here today. Yep, say she. No question for you, just enjoying the live once again. Greetings from Galway, Ireland. Glad you're here to join us. Thank you very, very much. And Chris Grin, your videos inspire me and show me how to do cool ear piercings and show you how many cool ear piercings there are. I'll be getting a Doth Conch, Rook Flat, Antitragus, and the rare Vertical Tragus. Now got to decorate those ears. Super, super rad. Make sure that the rare vertical tragus, you actually have enough tissue that it's fat enough to support going the long way, because otherwise it'll just reject right out. But you're right, super, super rare. If you get it done, send me a picture. And Nita, what is emu oil and crusties? Okay, I recently got more lobe piercings and a helix. My first piercings was done when I was 9 months old. Cool, cool. So emu oil is the oil from the fatty tissue of an emu. We found that over years that this oil, this concentrated oil from the emu, put on irritation bumps, upset piercings, helps calm and bring it back to normal much, much faster. Now here's the deal. The emu has like this fatty pouch on its upper back, and this fatty pouch stores all this nutrients for long periods of time, because when these emus have babies, they don't eat because they stay by the nest, and this is enough to sustain them for, I don't know if it's weeks or months at a time. It's kind of like the hump on a camel's back, but it's different. That's water. This is like a nutrients pack. Now, we get this from emu farms, so it's not vegan friendly, but the magical thing about emu oil is the viscosity of the oil matches humans almost perfectly, which means when you put the oil on the skin, it doesn't just stay on the top, it actually absorbs in all the way down. And you're getting all these nutrients and vitamins down to help the healing process when it's really upset. A lot of times when you're trying to put stuff on the top, it just sits on the top or it goes into the piercing holes, not doing exactly what it needs to. This just absorbs all the way in and heals the entire area. I've used it for over 20 years. I swear by it. It's mainly my Doth piercing that always gets upset. Once in a while it just gets crusty and swollen. I put emu oil on it. 2 days later, it's completely back to normal. It really, really works. There's tons of people who can attest to this. And some people say they can heal the piercings up. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never really tried it until right now. I am actually in the process of trying to heal my mantis piercings with the emu oil to see how things go. So far, I'm pretty happy. It's a little bit more on the messy side, and you got to be careful to kind of dab some of the excess off on the front, because I've noticed that it's collecting dust and dirt, and it's more of a pathway for other pathogens to get in. So it can be kind of scary that way. But if you're not touching your piercing, I mean, mine are feeling fantastic. Other than me snagging them all the time, they are feeling good. So it can work for that. And crusties. What are crusties? Crusties are, okay, so when you get a scrape or a cut on your arm, your body's forming a scab. When you get a piercing, your body thinks it needs to form that same similar scab. And the thing is piercings are considered to be open wounds for a minimum of a month, sometimes longer, and it's constantly trying to scab and close the wound up. So it's dried lymph fluids, blood, plasma. There's other things in there involved as well. But anyways, the crusties are going to stick to your jewelry, and it's going to get pulled inside, which is going to scratch and irritate your tissue, which prolongs and makes the piercing hurt. So when we clean the piercing, we're trying to get rid of the crusties. And once we get rid of the crusties, it gets rid of most irritation and allows our body to heal the piercing up for us. Good question. Thanks for asking. All right, and moving on to Spenny Boy. Hey, Scott, would you do 2 vertical clitoral hood piercings? Would 2 vertical clitoral hood piercings be possible? Like side by side? Absolutely. That is called the Princess Diana, and that seems to be the theme of the day, Princess Diana piercings. Yeah, that's what it is. I've actually done one last week. Turned out absolutely amazing. Super fun. It kind of depends on anatomy. If you have a smaller hood and everything's kind of close together, the jewelry might be touching. You might hear a little bit of clinking, as if like for people who have like frenum piercings on the penis, if they're too close together, you do hear the metal clink sometimes, and that could be a possibility. But yeah, it's totally a thing. And Kathy Jules, how do you stretch nostril piercings? Very, very slowly. Nostril piercings do not want to stretch. Now, earlobe piercings, the earlobe is a very soft tissue, and it naturally can stretch, go back and forth really, really easily. Now, nostril piercings, you're trying to push that cartilage away, and it doesn't feel very good. Mine were initially pierced, one at an 8 gauge, one at a 6 gauge, and I've slowly stretched up over the years. Now, I also did have a friend who worked at a machine shop who made me multiple sizes in between each stretch. So in a way, I could almost say I'm cheating, but you know, it's all about who you know. It's all about who you know. So 3-4 stretches between each set of gauges. Now, I do know that there are glass companies who make in-between sizes, so that can help stretching your nostril. But I will say this, when you do stretch your nose, it's going to stay sore for a while. It sometimes stays sore for a couple weeks because it takes a while for all that tissue to relax. Now, when we initially get our nose pierced, I tell people it's going to seem healed in maybe a month to 2 months. Seem healed, but give it a minimum of 4 months before you go to a ring, because you need all that time for that scar tissue or that cartilage to loosen up to where you can put a curve through a straight. Otherwise, if you put it in too soon and everything's still tight, bam, you get bumps. And it's the same thing with stretching. You just got to be patient with it and nice and slow. And I just stretched, how do you stretch nostrils? I just stretched to a 6 gauge from an 8 gauge. It hurt so bad, but worth it now that it's not too sore. Good. Hopefully it doesn't stay sore for you too long. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's, you're already there. You're already there. That's really, really cool. All right. And Astrid Posey, let me highlight this so I don't lose my spot. I'm going to scroll up. And Astrid Posey says, oh, I use a ventilator to sleep with, and I've noticed with Labret studs and my spider bites that the ventilator pulls on them. So I've been wearing clickers. I'm wondering if there's a solution. Yes, there probably is. I'm going to guess more with the mask you're wearing. The ventilator, like sometimes we put these over our nose or our mouth. I'm not 100% sure because I don't really wear one, but I know they come in different sizes. They have to fit a certain way. So maybe talk to someone who does these. And is there different brands? Are some wider, some skinnier, some longer, bigger? Maybe you need to just go up a size or down a size so they fit appropriately. But it's the same thing with like ear piercings, like doth piercings and tragus piercings. A lot of doctors or people who use stethoscopes or earbuds or anything like that, sometimes you can find smaller things to fit in the ear to accommodate better for that. That's kind of the situation. So, All right, great question. And Kathy Jules, can I keep stretching my septum while pregnant? Or is it safer to wait till after birth? As long as it doesn't get infected, you're totally safe to stretch out your septum piercing. Listen to your body. Yeah, you should be totally fine. You're not creating open wounds. If you're ripping and tearing doing that, you're not stretching properly. So yeah, you're fine. Elise Wilkins. Another Wilkins. Well, before it was Wilkerson. My last name's Wilkinson, and this is just part of my last name, Elise Wilkins. That's so cool. Got a doff piercing 6 months ago. Is it safe to swim in a private pool? Yeah, should be totally fine. Generally, we tell people it's a minimum of a month before you go swimming. If it's an open wound with bleeding, you have scabs on there, that could be a problem. A little bit of crusties, not the end of the world. And like I always tell everyone, listen to your body. Your body will tell you. If you go swimming and all of a sudden your piercing is going to be upset for the next week or so, don't do it next time. Wait a little bit longer. But 6 months should be plenty of time. And hey, Jersey Paul, it's Kelsey. Oh, first off, hi, Scott. Cheers to coffee. Yes, cheers to you, Kelsey. She's my other piercer at the shop, and she's working right now. I'm waiting for 1:30, so 1:30. Wow, I'm getting close to caught up. So I'm watching you and bagging tools. Awesome. Glad to hear that. I wish I was there. Kelsey's probably going to be here next week. Yes, we already marked off the time. And Kelsey says hi to everyone. And yeah, by the way, Kelsey, these things are looking really darn good. Really darn good. And by the way, get back to work. I'm just kidding. We have a nice mellow workspace, and glad you're having a good day. I'll probably be in later today so I can mess around with this camera. So I'll see you in a little bit. And Woke Drums by Tessa. I have 13 piercings and my doctor wants me to get an MRI. Is it an issue for me to take them out and put them back in later that day? How uncomfortable will it be? They are mostly genital piercings. It kind of depends. Every person, sometimes the piercings stay open, sometimes they close up really quick. The sooner you get the jewelry in, the less chance you are to lose the piercings. If you're nervy, look into getting retainers, because the retainers made out of plastic or glass will keep the hole open. They just don't want metal inside there. Oh, God, 13 piercings, that's a lot of retainers. Yeah, it kind of depends on the piercings. Like, I know Prince Albert's generally stay open pretty well. VCHs stay open well. Outer labias close quick. Frenum piercings can close kind of quick. Scrotum piercings stay open a little nicer. It's different for every person, but if you're nervous, I'd go get retainers. It's going to be your best bet. Or, you know, take them out right before you go in there, and as soon as you get done, get them in right away. Don't wait all day long. Kathy Jules, baby is indeed number one, so I shall wait for the Medusa. Thank you so much. Babies are always number one priority. Babies come before piercings. I don't have any kids. I have a lot of piercings, and babies do come first no matter what. So, yeah, it's probably like one of the best rules. Like, if you had a list of piercing rules, number one is like, take care of yourself. Number two is don't do it if there's a baby involved. Yeah. Maybe even reverse. Yeah. Anyways, Cody S. Hi, Scott. Do you do PAs in your shop? And by chance, do you let baby piercers shadow? Yeah, sure. I don't mind. What they mean by that is wondering if another piercer can watch you actually do a PA. I have no problem with this. I don't really offer shadowing on the general public. Just because it's their experience, they're already kind of feeling a little awkward, so I don't want them to have multiple people in the room. But if you had someone who wanted to get a Prince Albert and you wanted to come in and you want to watch, I have no problem with that whatsoever. If you ever have questions, let me know. I'm always open to sharing information. So, yes. And Nita, thank you for trying and the history lesson. Yes, you're very, very welcome. And the Desolate One, hey Scott, thanks for all the info. Any tips on how to make sure an eyebrow piercing doesn't reject? Placement, depth, bar type, etc. Cheers. Cheers. Make sure it's deep enough. If you have an eyebrow where you can almost see your bone, like you have that natural ridge, if you don't, like, look at how loose that skin is. Like, I'm the perfect candidate for an eyebrow piercing. If you can't grab the skin, it's more likely to reject. Do not pierce with straight barbells. Do not pierce the straight barbells. Do not pierce the straight barbells. Can't stress that enough. Get a curved barbell. Make sure it's deep enough. Don't mess with it. Don't move it around. Try not to sleep on it. I mean, I just told you I have the ideal eyebrows for eyebrow piercing. Yet I've had them done about a dozen times on each side, and I've had half of them reject. Eyebrows just can reject. Sometimes they stay there. I got the hiccups just like every episode I do of this. So yeah, that's kind of the situation. Good piercer and keep it clean. Cy or CL, I'm not sure which one we're saying here. Hey Scott, just wanted to thank you for the inspiration of getting a vertical industrial. Half a year and it's fully healed. Wow, awesome, man. That is super, super awesome that you can heal a vertical industrial that fast. Glad to be an inspiration. Thanks for watching. And Sammy4421. Are my comments coming through okay? My name got skipped over a couple times, and I know it's hard to keep track of everyone's question, but I'm worried that my comments isn't coming through. Yes, and I'm going to scroll up right now because I do not try to skip everyone. I skipped you a while. Oh, wait. No, I got one here that says message retracted. And I wonder if you said something where YouTube said you couldn't say it and it pulled it for us. They might have been, so reword it. That's the only one I see. It says message retracted, so I did not get that other message. Sorry about that. All right. Also, hope you're having an awesome day. I'm having a fantastic day. Thank you, Sammy. And Alex P says, is it possible to pierce inside of the eyebrow, like closer to the eye instead of closer to the outer part of the temple? I hope this makes sense. Thanks for being so awesome all the time. Thanks for saying I'm awesome. I appreciate it. I'm kind of a dork in my own mind. Now you're asking if you can go further in. Yes, you can. Now, I was told a long, long time ago that the inner part of the eyebrow here has some veins, some blood vessels that you should try to avoid. I've done them before and I've never had issues, but you might bleed a little tiny bit from that. A lot of times the inner is definitely less tissue, so it's harder to heal that up. Generally, the further you go, it's like a lot looser, the inner's a lot tighter. But yeah, you can totally pierce on the inside. You see how mine are traditionally in a little bit further than normal. I used to have them actually dead center before, and I've had them all the way on the outside. So yeah, wherever you want to put them, should be fine as long as you have the right anatomy for it. And Anita, would it be unsafe to use the bioplast when going for an MRI for later for a surgery? All jewelry has to be removed for those procedures. All metal jewelry has to be removed for those procedures. That's what they're trying to say, because they don't want any sort of magnetism ripping things out. Or if you're getting an MRI right, say, over your eyebrow area, and you even put a retainer in there, that still could impede the MRI no matter what style of jewelry you have in there. So it kind of depends on where it's getting done. But yeah, that PTFE is plastic jewelry and should work totally fine. That's... and also says, and when did you change? And why is it no longer recommended to use the peroxide and rubbing alcohol to clean a piercing? It's a good question. I'd love to go into that. Give me a second. Yeah, so the bioplast is, in my opinion, best for MRIs and operations. Now, why not to use peroxide and rubbing alcohol to clean a piercing? It never was acceptable. Body piercings are open wounds, and if you read the bottles of peroxide and alcohol, it does say not made for puncture wounds. It's not made to go inside the body. It's only meant for the top of your skin, for like cuts, scrapes, abrasions, but it's not designed for puncture wounds. Now the thing is alcohol and peroxide kind of minimize scarring, I guess, which is normally what we want. If you get a cut on your arm, you don't want to leave a huge scar for that, and that kind of allows it to heal faster and close the wound up. Now, in the situation like this, we're trying to heal a wound open, so peroxide and alcohol is going to leave it raw, prolonging the healing process, increasing the chance of infection because it's an open wound for much, much longer, and you're probably just not going to heal things up properly. Sometimes people use these things and they say, oh, it healed it up for me. Sometimes piercings just heal up. It doesn't matter what, you could put mud on there and say the mud healed it up for me. It was your time to heal it up. But the thing is generally we just want to use saline solution or wound wash spray just to allow the crusties to be wiped off and allow our body to do the healing for us. So great question, but yeah, alcohol and peroxide, never a good idea for a piercing. the Underground EDC. Hey, Scott, it's been a long time. Welcome back. Welcome back. Good to have you here again. And Diana says, hi, Jersey Paul. It's funny, when Jersey Paul came up, that's... Okay, so I'm going to explain this to you real quick, a little story. For my piercing studio, we decided to create a second profile for the front of the front desk, and it's called Jersey Paul. I used to have an aquarium in there, and there was two of the favorite fishes. One was called Paul, and one was named Jersey, and my apprentice at the time decided to name it Jersey Paul, tribute to the fish. So that's where Jersey Paul comes from. So I didn't know either, and I was like, why are we called Jersey Paul? It's like, oh, after the fish. Makes perfect sense. And I broke my username. That's a really, really great name. Hi, Scott. I just had my first biopsy punch done at a 0 gauge on my flat about 3 weeks ago. Currently, I'm healing it with a glass plug. Can I take out the jewelry to clean? Have you seen punches close up? Yes, believe it or not, they can close up. They will shrink up a little tiny bit. I have a 0 gauge flat punch up top here as well. Mine will not close up. I've had mine for many, many years. Mine were originally done in 93 or 94. When I took mine out for months and months at a time just to see what would happen. It closed up to about a 2 gauge just because that loose tissue just started filling the gap, but there was still a huge hole in there. And then I was able to stretch it back up to the 0. It was sore for a couple days and then it was right back to normal. Now, I also had a friend who punched out his nostrils at 4 gauge and now has normal nostril piercings. He has left them out a long time, and they did close up. I don't know if there's that big of a difference from a nostril to a flat or from a 4 gauge to the 0 gauge, if that is kind of a difference, but generally 0 gauge is not going to close up on you. I would give it a little bit more time. It may seem pretty well healed up. I would give it at least another week or so before you can lightly take it out and see how it's doing and immediately put it back in. Don't hurt yourself. Do this in the shower. Get all the crusties off first. We are healing a tube of scar tissue, and that tissue is fragile and it's easily ripped. If you don't have to take it out, don't take it out. Good question. And my punches inspired you. I'm glad to be some inspiration. And Michael Veschler. Hi, Scott. I'm a fan from Israel. Love your videos. Really want to get a hip dermals, 2 on each side. In your opinion, is this a good idea? Dermal anchors are not a permanent piercing. They will eventually reject out, so you kind of got to keep that in mind. It depends on the placement of the hips. If your pants are rubbing right up against it, they're never going to look good. You know, you have to have it in a spot where the clothes aren't rubbing up against it, and it's not in a crease. Like if you bend over and it's right in the crease of your waist, that's going to cause problems too. Otherwise, if you don't mind it being a short term and just having a fun piercing for a while, go for it. Mousley, love all your helpful videos. Love all your helpful videos so much. Just got up my angel fangs this week. I think it's so fun that people are getting angel fangs. It's turned into such a popular piercing. I see them every week now. Angel fangs are vertical labret piercings where you put little spikes in the bottom. You have a little fang sticking out. Super fun piercing. Glad they became a trend. Glad you got it done. And Bloodshot09. After I have my tongue pierced, how long do I have to wait before consuming alcohol? You can never drink again. I wouldn't do it. Just kidding. Generally, I tell people at least a couple weeks. A week minimum. The thing is alcohol numbs your mouth. It numbs your tongue, you don't realize it as much. That's why we end up getting a little slurred because the things are kind of going in the wrong spot. The thing is because your tongue's going to be numb from the alcohol, you are more likely to rip or tear your piercing and not know you're doing damage to it. That's the biggest concern. Alcohol's not good for piercings. Like I was just explaining why rubbing alcohol is bad. Alcohol's kind of the same thing. It's going to leave it more raw. So if you can wait a minimum of a week or a couple weeks, it's best. Cheers from Dutch. All right. And we're on to Michaela Schaefer. Oh, I lost my spot. I just highlighted it though. All right. The name is Joe. Okay, Joe. I got ahead of myself. Got my conch to conch industrial done a month ago. I recently noticed my anti-tragus swelling. Should it be concerned? Is there anything I can do about it? Conch to conch industrial is going to be a rough one. The antitragus swelling. You're just swollen in general in that whole area. Cool it off. Stick your ear in some cold water. That'll help reduce swelling. Also, ibuprofen, Aleve, Advil. Those are anti-inflammatories. You might be irritating it, whether you're wearing earphones, earbuds, sleeping on it, your hair products getting in there. All of these things can be factors, but a conch to conch, I'm going to say it, it's a brutal piercing. It's a rough heal. You're going to have to be patient on this one, and you are going to have swelling like that. So that's not a concern. The only time I would be concerned is if you have pus, some serious discharge coming out of there, or if you're over swelling the bar. Now, if it seems like the bar is too tight and the beads are pinching in the back, you might have to have someone look for you. You might need a longer bar because it's a long, deep piercing, and it's hard to see that yourself. That could be a reason why it's so. Yeah, get the swelling down, have someone check the back of your ear, or take your camera phone and see if you can do a kind of a reverse picture and take a picture of the back side of your ear. There you go. And Michelle Harbin, hope you're doing well. I'm doing super good. I hope you're doing really well too. Thank you. Kathy Jules, I know you mentioned septum stretching is okay during pregnancy. Would it be okay to ear stretching too? Yeah, any stretching should be totally, I'm going to retract that. Most stretching should be fine during pregnancy. Granted, belly button stretching, terrible idea. Take the belly piercing out if you're pregnant. Genital piercings are a bad idea to be stretching out too. Same thing with nipple piercings. Otherwise, ear stuff and other stuff should be totally fine. Just don't overdo it. Be nice to your body. And moving on to Michelle Hardman. Got my triangle pierced weeks ago. Watched your video on this particular piercing, and I did loads of research. There was only one place that did it in North England. Well, congratulations on your piercing. I hope things are working well for you and healing very well. It's a super, super awesome piercing. And Astrid Posey got message retracted. Not sure why. Woke Drums by Tessa. Let me scroll up so I can read all of this. There we go. Thank you for the suggestion. I never bought retainers before. What do you have suggestions on where to buy them, or where I should ask, or should I ask my piercer? By the way, your piercer is JoJo from Freak Show in Fort. Oh, your piercer. There's my. Right on. Very, very cool. Retainers, you can buy them at a lot of piercing studios. You might spend a little bit more money. Normally, I don't ever condone buying stuff online, but a retainer is a retainer when it comes to like something like this. So if you can buy them on Amazon, you might be able to find something a little bit cheaper. Otherwise, you can buy them almost anywhere. It's a temporary fix. It's not good for your piercing. Get them in and get them out. But yeah, online's probably the cheapest. Otherwise, you can talk to your piercer. They should be able to help you out. Awesome. He is so good. It's awesome to chat with Master in the craft. It's so fun talking to people who actually, are passionate and love what they do. It does make a big, big difference. Sammy4421. I don't know why that happened. All I said was I got my nipples pierced and love having them done. Does this YouTube not allow the word nipple to be? Well, you said it right there. That's really weird that it got retracted like that. Now, you know what? It could be partially me because this started before I could actually put up any of the titles or descriptions in our live chat. So maybe I didn't hit a button where it says, maybe it just automatically says hold all negative comments. So, but it's not negative. That's really, really weird. I'm glad you love your nipple piercings. You know, of all the piercings I have, I love my nipples the most. Those are my favorite piercings. So Astrid Posey, sorry, I should clarify. My ventilator suction pulls on the labret. Oh, I was wondering if there's some silicone or something that might help with that. Again, you guys asked the best questions. I really don't know. The ventilator suction pulls on the labret bars. So it's not the size of the mask. I don't know. The only thing I can think of is if you have a really small disc on the inside of your lip for the labret bars, like maybe a 3mm or 2.5mm, that's going to kind of pull it in a little bit more. It might be uncomfortable. If you went with a larger disc, like a minimum of a 4, maybe even a 5mm disc, that could help. But I really don't know. If anyone has any question or any answers to this, let us know in the comments. I'm not 100% sure on this. I would think a lip ring would be less likely to create the suction and pull on at the same one. I don't know that one. Good question. You got me. Banana Kimar? That's what I'm going with. I'm going to get mantis piercings in November with Kelsey. I was thinking, though, would it be possible to have them tandem? Nope. They're way too close together. You haven't seen me, but I'm a big, big dude, and these hands are ginormous. As soon as my hands go in front of my face, I'm going to block all the work for Kelsey. And the way she does, yeah, no, you have to have them done one by one, unfortunately. I've never even done tandem, normal nostril piercings. I know it can be done, but they're really not that painful. It's super easy to get done. So, but thanks for trying to include me. All right. And the Desolate one, thanks for the answer on the eyebrow. I have an amazing piercers. I have amazing piercers. The skin, highlight that. I have amazing piercers and skin like your eyebrows. Just tired of getting ear piercings and wanted to make sure, knowing my luck, about the eyebrows. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, half the times they work, the other half they don't. If you have good eyebrows, they're easy piercings to get. I could get like a dozen in a sit, maybe not a dozen. Yeah, I could totally do a dozen in a sitting and go right back to work. They're pretty easy, and the only thing is you get a little black eye once in a while. I'm sure you've heard me say that before, though. All right, Chris Grin, thoughts on using antibiotic creams for piercing bumps and infections? Again, if you read the bottle, it says not made for puncture wounds, not meant to go directly inside the piercing. If it's infected, you need to talk to a doctor. Now, if you're just using it because you think it's going to heal it up for you, it's only going to cause more problems because you're putting petroleum-based stuff inside the piercing, clogging all the pores. That petroleum-based product is also going to be pulling dust and particles in with it. So your best bet is to just use the wound wash spray. Piercing bumps, use the emu oil if anything on piercing bumps. Don't use tea tree oil. Don't use antibiotic creams, any of that stuff. If you go online, there's a zillion things. Everyone's like, oh, this is for bumps, this is for infections. No, they don't know what they're talking about. See who's making it. Is it really doctors? Seriously doubt it. A lot of times this comes from some person trying to make a quick buck and throwing a label on something. But yeah, as far as antibiotic creams, it says right on the bottle, not made for puncture wounds, and that's exactly what a body piercing is. Andre Pamplona de Silva. I hope I said that right. Any specific things to look out for when healing an orbital piercing? Now, an orbital piercing, I think we're talking about where it's like an industrial, but with a ring. So one ring, basically there's two piercings done with one ring. Now, if it's completely eating the ring, they did too small of a ring and the cartilage is actually eating the jewelry and you're probably not going to heal it up. If you have big bumps on your piercing, sometimes it's from the irritation and a lot of times they go away on their own. Now, if it was pierced improperly at different angles, those bumps won't ever really go away. So you're mainly looking for bumps and trying to keep the swelling down. Orbitals are tough healers. Do the ring big enough where you can allow this to heal. Two smaller rings look super cute if you can heal them up, but it's pretty rare and you're more likely to have it reject out if that's the case. Or not reject out, but just have bumps and not heal it up. Dave Weston, hey man, got my conscience pierced at 8 millimeters last week. Awesome. Having to start my piercing after starting my piercing journey a few months ago. Wanted to do this for years, but always been way too nervous. Thank you, and I went for it. Congratulations, 8 millimeters. That's a big old conch piercing. That's really awesome. And Kathy Jules, I didn't know you could get a stretch. I didn't even know you could stretch a belly button piercing. It took mine out a good while ago due to rejecting. Yeah, you can virtually stretch anything. I remember back in the day, I had someone come in and they had a 2 gauge in their rook. This was in 96 or 97. And I was like, how did you get that in there? And they're like, well, I just stretched it out. I'm like, you can't stretch cartilage. He's like, well, yeah, you can. I did. And that inspired me to start stretching my tragus. So I was like, I want to have a huge tragus piercing. So I started stretching my tragus and I broke it. Not the jewelry, my tragus. My tragus snapped in two. So you got to be careful that you have enough tissue. You got to go nice and slow. Not everyone can really stretch anything, but realistically, anything is almost stretchable. It's crazy. My conch was pierced at a larger size, but I've seen people go from my nostril. That's the best example I can think of. Mine was pierced at an 8, and I got mine stretched all the way up to the 7/16. So yeah, pretty awesome. And Woke by Drums. Thank you. You're welcome. And Kathy Jules, I'm about to get off live. Have a good one. You too. Thanks for being here. And you're very welcome for all the information. Michelle Hardman. Hi, Scott. Just to add to my message about the triangle piercing, I really love it. Thanks to you and your videos. Although for me personally, it didn't hurt that much and healing well. Great. I mean, everyone has a different threshold for pain. Some people say things don't hurt at all. Some people say it's the worst thing in the world. Those painometers are averages. When I've done all the piercings, that's kind of how I'm using that painometer, is how have most people reacted, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. It can be far less, and it can always be worse too. So, but yeah, congratulations on your triangle piercing. And Lil Mayo, not a question, but a thank you. I first heard of Angel Fangs from your videos and got them about a month ago. You're dope, and I love them. They have been hurt. Yeah. They can be a little sensitive, can't they? Again, every person's completely different and depends on those nerves. But yeah, vertical lip piercings pinch a little tiny bit, but it's worth it, isn't it? When you can't find a friend. Well, you found lots of friends here. There's a community where everyone's friends. Hi, Scott. I'm getting Botox treatment for migraines, but I wanted to get some more ear piercings. Should I wait to get the piercings? The Botox typically for migraines, I think, is in your forehead. I don't believe they would ever do that in like ears or things like that. So if you're getting Botox around an area where you're getting pierced, it's going to be a problem. But if it's just Botox and you want to get an ear piercing or nipple or navel or whatever it is, shouldn't be a problem at all. Camp Sheldy. I hope I mastered that one. I'm sorry. Hi, this question may have been asked before, but can you heal an earlobe piercing while wearing a helmet? I have my septum pierced and I'm looking for the ears next, but not sure if it's a good idea. Earlobes are more likely to be able to heal up than a cartilage piercing. It still might be a little bit problematic. Be aware of the helmet you're wearing. If your helmet's pressed directly against there, keep this in mind, like maybe get some discs for the front of your ears and the backs instead of wearing rings or balls or anything bulky where it's going to get caught on the actual helmet. You got to be able to get that helmet on and off. So that might be something to think about. Also, is there a season where you're wearing the helmet and you're not? Because earlobes heal up in about a month and a half, 2 months. It could be several months if you're wearing the helmet. So just keep that in mind and just be nice to your piercing. Be careful. Dave Weston. Yeah, man, 8mm conches hurts so much, but totally worth it. I bet it was more loud than it was painful because, like, when you do a conch punch it's just crunch. I've had tattoo artists leave the room, and you'd think like these tattoo artists who draw all these gory pictures, and you know, as soon as they hear a little crunch from cartilage, running like a little baby. Anyways, yeah, they hurt quite a bit. Currently, I also have my lobe stretch, septum, and vertical labret pierced right on, and thinking about going for my philtrum towards the end of the year. Philtrum piercings are super, super cool. You have large jewelry or large piercings, and you know, philtrum, you can really get away with some really, really big jewelry, and yeah, love philtrums. Liz Perez. Hi, Scott. My name is Liz, and I've tried to get the horizontal eyebrow, but the piercer failed to put in the jewelry. The piercer failed to put in the jewelry. I was wondering how you know of any shops down in Miami. You mean they did the piercing and couldn't get jewelry in? That's terrible. That's... Okay, so when you're getting a horizontal eyebrow piercing, you should be getting done with a surface bar. Now, a surface bar has little uplifts, and it's going to be internally threaded, which means you should be able to screw a taper into the end so you cannot lose the connection. I don't know anyone off the top of my head who could do this. Is there anyone from Miami area who can give us some advice who might be a good piercer to help Liz find someone do her horizontal eyebrow piercing? I can't believe they couldn't get jewelry in. You know, okay, to all your piercers, if you don't know how to do the piercing from point A to point B, I learned this from my good friend, Crazy Shane Post. He's an amazing piercer. And that's what he taught your piercers. Is if you can't see it from beginning to end and have your client leaving, if you're like, I'm not sure how the jewelry, you shouldn't be doing the piercing. You need to ask more questions and do more research. Don't accept projects you don't know you're doing on. I'm so sorry you went through that, Liz. Michelle Hardman, if I wanted to stretch my triangle, can I go from a 6 gauge as I got a 6? If I want to stretch my triangle, can I go from a 6 gauge as I've got a 6 gauge VCH and interlabia at the same Like uniform? Yeah, for sure. For sure. You just want to let this thing heal up a little tiny bit and finding the right jewelry that's going to be comfortable for you. Everyone's anatomy is different. Sometimes triangle piercings seem way deep into the vulva, and like the larger, thicker gauge might press up against like the outer labia area. So if that's uncomfortable for you, that might not work out. So it kind of depends on the jewelry and what works best for you. But yeah, I don't see why you shouldn't be able to do it. And Sweet Baphomet. Hey, Scott, I've always had trouble with piercings. I got a vertical about a year ago, and it was great until recently when I have an irritation bump. Are some folks just not good candidates for piercings? I want to say no to that. You just need to listen to your body and figure out why you're not a good candidate. Are you bumping it, sleeping, like pillowcases getting caught on there? Are you touching and playing with it throughout the day? Are you constantly chewing on it? These are all factors. So if you're nice to your piercing, you should be able to heal this thing up fairly easily. All right. So, but yeah, and then also maybe get pierced with titanium. A lot of people have problems with piercings. If you're getting pierced with steel, they're going to cheaper shops. If you use implant grade titanium to heal your piercing, it's going to heal way, way better. And when you can't find a friend, you're very welcome. You said thank you. You're very welcome. Dave Weston. Yeah, bro. This the sound of an 8mm punch was unbelievable. Trust me, anyone in that room heard it as well. That's the one thing. When I've done punches in the past, I don't do them anymore here in Vegas because they're illegal here. But they're so loud, but they heal so nice. They heal so nice. Liz Perez says, yes, absolutely. Melinda P. would caution not getting one flat piercing, one tragus piercing, one helix on the same ear in one piercing session. I think you should be fine on those, because if you're getting your piercings done on one ear, that means you're sleeping on the other side, and that side shouldn't be irritated. I don't like more than like 4 to 5 piercings healing at once. The most I'll do in is one session is going to be 3 piercings, but you should be able to heal all those up. Just maybe up on your multivitamins, zinc supplements to boost your immune system to heal these piercings a little bit nicer. But yeah, you should be totally fine. And just Erica or Threerica. I'm going to say Erica. How long after getting an eyebrow piercing can I change jewelry? It's been there 3 weeks and swelling's gone away. I plan to change to another curved barrel, but shorter than what is in there. I'd give it another week or so. You don't need to wait too long, but if you leave a longer bar in there, it's going to move around. It's going to cause irritation. Generally, I tell people around a month or so, sometimes a month and a half, to downsize if you have the room for it. If you have the room for it, downsize in another week or so. Liz Perez, I'm stuck with these 2 holes in my face. They tried put it in with a flat bar, but they said that they couldn't get, and they didn't know why. Oh, damn it. Yeah, so you try getting the surface bar on your eyebrow. You got those 2 holes. Those holes, they're going to close up. They're going to go away pretty quick. I don't know why either. Try a different shop, someone a little bit more experience. Sometimes I have seen surface bars get a little bit stuck, but all you have to do is massage the area and it will go through. I don't have an answer for you other than, not even an answer, but a statement. It's like, I'm sorry you went through that. That sucks. It sucks going in to get piercings and walking out of there without jewelry. Hopefully they didn't charge you. Nita, can my helix cause a bump behind the ear? Yeah, kind of, yeah. Switch studs from hoops reacted to the metal and the hair pulling. Wait, switch studs for hoops reacted to metal and hair pulling, but then the helix has gone through some pain and the hoop gets stuck in the... Yeah, if your piercing is really swollen, you do have some glands back here, and those lymph nodes or whatever can kind of swell up if you're having problems. check the hoop size. You should have about 2/3 or most of the hoop showing. If over half the hoop is inside there, it's because it's pinching. There's too much curve in there, and it's not going to heal right, and it's just your body's telling you something. So check it out. See what's going on. Hopefully you had your piercings and it's healed up enough. Otherwise, go a bigger ring. Yeah. Sometimes changing your jewelry too soon can cause problems too. So be careful. Go back to that wound wash spray and make sure your jewelry's not too small. Dave Weston. Also, how's a Hafada piercing? Think about going to a ladder, getting started with a smaller gauge, and going down to the bigger gauge. Hafadas are a piece of cake. We're talking scrotal piercings here. The minimum I'm going to do would probably be a 12 gauge there. I like doing at least 10 gauge, but if you want to go from size to a larger size, the smallest I would do would be the 12 gauge. Anything thinner than that can cause bumps really, really easy, and they don't heal very good. It sounds weird how larger gauge stuff heals faster, but trust me, I had a bunch of Frenum piercings done back in the day in 14s, and they just constant bumps, never healed. Started getting them at 10 gauge, and they just healed right up. So it's worth going a little larger on that one. But yeah, super easy. Agnes Christira. Hi, Scott. Got my conch pierced about 7 months ago. Do you think it might be too soon to change the jewelry now? If it seems healed and if you don't have crusties on there, yeah, you're probably fine to change it up. Those can be healed as soon as 4 months, but a lot of times they get bumped, hit, chemicals from hair products get in there and just prolongs the healing process. So if it seems healed, go for it. And Gay Bacon. All right. And I got a reverse angel bites and my gestrum done since I thought the vertical breadth on my bottom would look cool with spikes at the top to give the illusion of tusks. Totally rad. We call these reverse or transverse vertical labret piercings. So normally when you get a vertical labret piercing, you see the bead on the outside and the top, but sometimes people will pierce the inside of the lip and like up, so it's reversed. Most people will put like either a disc or a real small ball on the inside. The only concern here is the tissue is softer and they're more prone to rejecting. If you get it to heal, they look super cool. You're right, it's the illusion like you just have spikes coming out from the inside. Super rad. Send a picture, I'd love to see that. Send it to Send it to PiercingWithScott@gmail.com. Piercing Vegas is my piercing studio. I'd rather see it on the Piercing with Scott one. And Gay Bacon, could you put something like a clicker on my gestrum? I like the ring look and was recommended to get a small chain instead. You know, you can do a ring in... No, you can't. A gestrum is vertical and the ring is probably going to stick out more. You're probably going to have more problems with it. I think a chain is going to work much better. Depends on how deep it is and if you don't mind the ring sticking out, but it's going to stick out quite a bit. The chain's the better idea, in my opinion, too. Excuse me. Melinda P., thank you so much. You're very welcome. Michelle Hardman had a message retracted. Sorry about that, Michelle. And just Erica. It's Erica, LOL. I have fun with these names, and I struggle at the same time, so that's why I have fun with them at the same time. So you're very welcome. Thanks, Erica. And Abe, do you recommend tea tree oil for keloids? My snug has such a terrible hard time healing since I lay on it often. Emu oil hasn't been working. Well, if you don't get rid of the source of the problem, the bumps will never go away. The source of the problem is you laying on it. So if you need to go buy a piercing pillow, a donut pillow, something so that part is not hitting your ear, that's what's going to... There's no magical drug or chemical or oil that's going to heal this for you. I don't believe in tea tree oil. I don't think it's good for piercings. I think it's way more harsh, generally causes more problems than actually helps. The solution is not sleeping on it. Sorry, don't sleep on it. That's the best I can tell you. But no, I would stick with the emu oil, and yeah, good luck to you. And Nita, thank you, Scott, for the explanation of rubbing alcohol and peroxide. Oddly, I do have some emu for hair growth. Nice. Does it work for hair growth well? I imagine it would with all the vitamins and nutrients. And I don't know why I never thought of that before. emu oil is pretty amazing stuff. I'm going to have to do a whole episode just on emu oil and the magicness of it. I will say this too. Amazon has some stuff out there called Grimu oil, which is an emu oil alternative. And I did order it and looked at it, and I used it on some things, and some friends used it, and it doesn't work the same. It's not the same stuff. Grimu oil is just a whole bunch of essential oils. It's kind of the same as... I don't see what's different than, you know, like the other random stuff that Amazon is selling to fix piercing bumps and piercing aftercare and piercing oils and piercing salves. And it's all kind of the same thing. And it's kind of a bad idea. Most of that stuff is for aromatherapy. It's not meant to go inside your body. But interesting that it works for hair. I love that. And Emily Rose, what are the dangers of piercing your own tongue at home? Is this true you can become paralyzed? If I said yes, would you not pierce your tongue at home? You're not going to get paralyzed. But there is a lot of risks. And I'm going to tell you a story which will probably scare the lights out of you. Now, the worst piercing thing I have ever seen was a home piercing. The person was at a piercing party and they got gangrene on their tongue. Their tongue started turning black, necrotic, and they had to have 1/3 of their tongue amputated because the whole thing died from doing uncleanly piercing. So, what are the risks? It can get pretty bad. Is it going to paralyze you? I doubt that. Could you lose part of your tongue? It's possible. So, is it worth going to a piercer and having it done properly? 100%. I will never, ever, ever condone home piercings. That's not what this channel is about. I'm not trying to teach you how to pierce yourself at home. Go to a professional. You know, if you got a cut on your arm, do you just grab the needle and thread and start stitching yourself up? Probably not. You're going to go to a professional. Yeah, you can do it cheaper yourself, but is it going to look good and heal right and have less problems if you go to a piercer? Yeah, 100%. Don't do home piercings. It's a bad idea. You need to get angle. You need to be clean about things. I'm pretty sure you don't have an autoclave in your home. An autoclave is a steam sterilizer. They cost many thousands of dollars, and I get it constantly inspected to make sure things work properly because they can break down. And if they break down, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Yeah, so don't pierce your own tongue. Don't do it, please. And yes, boo. Okay, it's the Greek guy again. Welcome back. It might be interesting for you to know that Greece has a great body modification community. We don't have many piercings and tattoo studios. Interesting. So you have a great modification community, but yet everything has to be underground there. I have a feeling like there are some famous body modification artists who are from Greece. I'm drawing blanks, but I feel like I know there's some. That's really, really cool to know. And that's how things all start. You know, if you don't have a bunch of piercing studios, there's probably laws that are making it tough for the people to open those things. It's just a matter of time before things start opening up to the modern world. But that's really cool that you have a really cool body modification community. It's such a tight-knit group of people. It's so awesome. I love the body art community. And but the ones we have are absolutely amazing with amazing piercers and artists. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like it's probably real tough for them to do it. That's why only the strong will survive. Emily Rose, message retracted. I hope you didn't say anything wrong or bad, or maybe you just did it yourself. I don't know. Lil Mayo, what do you guys think about cheek piercings on guys? I feel like girls mainly get them, but I'm wanting them. You know, it's funny you bring this up because when I first started piercing, I'm not just talking about cheeks, but in general, half the piercings I did were guys, the other half were girls. It was like 50-50. It really didn't matter at all. People got all those things. And back in the day, honestly, I saw way more guys with cheek piercings than I did girls. But that's just what I can remember off the top of my head. Everyone gets these piercings. So if you want to get them, totally get them. They're really, really awesome piercings. Just do your homework and make sure you get them pierced in the proper spot. You can say you feel mainly girls get these piercings, probably, but I would also say that over 90% of my clientele are probably women too. So more women get piercings, so you're going to see more of those on women. But I have seen lots of guys get their cheeks pierced in this last year at my studio. And Dave Weston, cool, just need to build up the confidence to get my naked body in front of this body piercer. Yeah, that's always the worst part about getting piercings, getting genital piercings, is just getting naked. But tell you what, I've seen so many naked people, I could care less. That's the way body piercers always see this. It doesn't matter to us. The most awkward part is you getting undressed in front of us. And when I'm doing a piercing like this, I'll say, okay, go ahead and get undressed, hop up on the table. I'm just gonna turn around, wash my hands, and I turn around and I give you the privacy you need so it's not as awkward. That's what a real professional is gonna do. And you don't have anything we haven't seen before. I mean, we're doing genital nipple piercings all day long. People always say all the time, like, oh, you must have the best job. You get to see the naked people. I'm like, we don't care. Do you say that about doctors too? I mean, the first one or two you do is kind of weird and awkward. Like, I don't know. I can't believe they're, you know, but it's what we do. It's no big deal. So don't be worried about that. And where am I? I'm losing my track. Okay, Michelle Hardman. I really love to have a fourchette piercing, but I've had a baby 12 years ago and needed stitches. I am unsure if I can have it or if there is a room to be unsure because of the minimal scarring. Episiotomy, I think that's what it's called. I don't really know. This is a very anatomy dependent piercing and not everyone can get this piercing in the first place. If you have enough of a flap of skin or can pinch tissue there, you're probably okay to do the piercing. It's a really, really, really rare piercing. We don't do very many fourchettes at all. And of the ones I've had, I've never had to turn anyone away because they didn't have the right anatomy for it. So you're probably okay. But if you're not sure, find a piercer you're comfortable with and have them check. Abe, would you recommend hypochlorous acid spray to clean piercings? I bought some for my face and the bottle says it can use to clean piercings, but I don't want to irritate bumps. I'm not 100% sure on what the hypochlorous acid spray is. I think, let me type this in real quick. Great question. Or piercing. Yes. That is what I thought it was. Like for like the Briotech, you can use that, and generally I think it works really, really well. There's still more research to be done on like how well this does for piercings, but I know Elaine Angel supports this and suggested this when I was taking some of her classes. I've used it on one of my old piercings. I don't remember which one it was, but I had a little bit of hesitation because the bottle just opens and it's exposed to air, so it's not sterile, and I'm trying to keep things as clean as possible. That's why I like the wound wash spray, which comes out sterile, but I'm not sure if that acid is going to be good enough to overcompensate for the sterile chemical getting put on there. Granted, your wound is an open wound and it's not going to stay sterile. It's not a sterile field, but Elaine Angel really pushes it, and I trust Elaine Angel. I think she's an amazing piercer, very knowledgeable, and it should be totally fine. The one I tried was Briotech. Here, let me change screens here. There, it's the one on the upper left there, the topical skin spray. You can buy it on Amazon for like 15 bucks or something like that. The one to the right is Neomed wound wash spray. That's the one I generally suggest for cleaning piercings, but that Briotech can work. I'm not sure about the other ones. And again, if you look a couple to the right there, you're gonna see the piercing bump treatment and keloid. I just ordered that. It's just essential oils. So you gotta be careful what you're getting. Just because it's labeled that it's gonna cure your bumps, it's gonna cause problems. But I think that Briotech is some pretty good stuff. Hopefully it's the same stuff. Let me know. All right, and back to me again. And how long have we been doing this here? I'm losing track of my time here. Oh, we're coming up at the very end. I kind of hit the end of the line here. So we got just a couple more questions. I'll see if I can finish it all the way up to the bottom. We'll blast through these real quick. Taya Wicks. Hey, Scott, is it a guaranteed is it a guaranteed to get a bruise with an eyebrow piercing? No, 50-50 chance. And a lot of times it's just the eyelid. It's not like a full-on shiner black eye. Sometimes you just get a little purple discoloration on the eyelid itself. So it's not the end of the world. No guarantee. Half of them I got, and the other half weren't. Astrid Posies. So I just went looking for a larger Libret base disc and couldn't find much, but I did find some silicone discs that can be put on the base of the bar. Any ideas where to find the actual bars? Not off the top of, well, maybe check with, what is the name of the site I was, give me a second. I'll come to me in a second here. The discs, the silicone discs you find that can go on the inside, sometimes that's going to shorten the bar up a little bit. So you might need a longer bar to accommodate the larger disc put on the inside, but that might create more of a suction for it to pull too. I'm not 100% sure on this one. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the site. There's a certain website where you go to where you can type in brands and it's going to show all the different sizes and body art forums. My brain just wasn't working properly. Body art forums, I think you can type in the size of the disc and exactly what you're looking for, and you might be able to find it there. You also got to figure out what you're wearing on the inside right now, and you also need to get a ruler and kind of measure, figure out what size jewelry you're wearing. And XXX, what a live stream. Wow, a live stream. Yes, I do these once in a while. Not enough anymore, but I'm definitely trying to do more of them. Michelle Hardman, holy moly, you stole your tongue piercing. Yeah, I know. It was terrible. It was one of the worst things I have ever seen. Blanca, I'm not going to, Halasi? I had a conch done which formed a bump that didn't go away for after 2 years. I decided to take it out. Didn't want to deal with it the whole time. I've never been sleeping on that side of bump is still here. At this point, you need to get some scar tissue remover, Mederma, Scargo. There's a couple name brands, but if you go to a pharmacy, there's a scar tissue remover. You're going to massage it in there, and it'll break down all that scar tissue if you don't have your jewelry in there. Tell us something. Hey, Scott, it's my dream to be a body piercer, and I heard about Veen Tattoos courses. Hope you heard about them. What I'm saying is, how do I become a pro piercer? Much love from Bulgaria. I am not familiar with Veen Tattoos courses. A lot of times you need a full-on apprenticeship. I'm not sure what the laws are in Bulgaria, but I know here in Las Vegas or Nevada, you need to have a minimum of 6-month apprenticeship. Most apprenticeships expect to be about a year to 2 years before you get all the knowledge and you're kind of released as a body piercer. A course like this is just going to give you a bunch of information. It's not a substitution for an actual apprenticeship. But, you know, the more information you can bring in, the better off you're going to be. But I would want to look into that one. I'm not 100% sure on that one. And when it says tattoo courses, they're probably not given the best piercing information. This is my opinion. I don't know who they are, but piercings and tattoos are different. If you're a tattoo artist, you're not necessarily a piercer because you're healing things completely different. There's different products you use to clean and prep the skin, different aftercares, everything about it's different. Abe, are you currently piercing in Vegas? Where are you located? I'd love to visit you sometime in my next piercing. I'd love to have you, Abe. I'm in a studio called Piercing Vegas. I'm off Tropicana and about a block up from Eastern. So I'm just a couple miles off of the strip. Fairly easy to find. If you're coming in, make sure you book an appointment because we are appointment only. And I almost lost my spot. Good thing XXX is easy to find. CT. Hi, Scott. Happy to see another live stream. I hope you're having a great day. It's fantastic. Thanks for being here. Loopy After Dark. I'm a body mod fan. Have about 33 plus piercings. Most are in my ears. To just switch 6 piercings out, I was quoted 1,000 plus. Well, you went to a shop that probably sells only gold. Gold jewelry can get extremely expensive real quick. If you're doing titanium, piercings, I sell titanium bars starting at $20. So that'd be $120, not 1,000 plus. So if you go to the right shop, you're going to get that. But if you're looking to change out to gold piercings, a lot of gold tops are going to be between $50 and maybe $200 a top. Once you start getting into like gold, like diamonds and genuine stones, it's going to raise the price. So if it's $1,000, you probably got quoted for all gold. Loopy After Dark, why am I only coming across piercers selling gold and white jewelry? It's the trend. A lot of piercers want to sell this really, really pretty, But not all piercers need to sell the gold. I'm geared towards everyone. I have gold in my shop, but I also have a large variety of titanium as well. Gay Bacon, thanks for the live stream, Scott. Always enjoy seeing the questions and answers. You're very welcome. Glad you're here. And Michelle Hardman, final question from me, Scott. When are you opening a place in the UK? I've never left the country. I don't even know what the UK is like. I doubt it anytime soon, but honestly, I would love to visit sometime. And maybe if I visit, maybe I'll do a guest spot. Maybe I'll find a spot in the UK where I can go pierce here for a week or two. That might be kind of fun. I need to find more piercers to cover my shift here in Las Vegas, but yeah, maybe I'll start doing some guest spots. That might be kind of a fun thing to do. But no plans anytime soon. Thank you, though. And Cheryl Mankin, so good to see you live again. Hope have missed your presence on my feed. Have you stopped doing What Should I Get Pierced? I think it was getting close. I have stopped for the time being. I'm trying to figure out how to produce these myself because I had a partner before who would help me out quite a bit with these, and I'm trying to figure out how to get those smooth and back to normal. Yasbu, see you again next time. Abe says, thank you so much, Scott. Loopy After Dark says, been hard to find titanium around here. Just looking for some basic hoops. Maybe look online then. You know, body art forums, you might be able to get something sent to you. I don't know. Worm says, is this still live? Yes, this is still live. Not for much longer, just a couple more minutes and maybe even less. Loopy After Dark, thank you, Scott. Awesome stream. Thank you so much for being here. Tony Moore, hi, Scott. Great to see you live again. Baby Piercer here from Northern Ireland. Love watching your videos. Keep creating. I'm going to keep it up, man. I've got a ton of things I want to keep giving you guys. So thank you very much for being here. And Ilian Brennan, what's your favorite piercing? Much love. And next live stream when? We're going to be doing another one next week, so be here next week. We'll have Kelsey here. And I'm going to answer Brennan. I'm trying to say, what's your favorite piercing? Fun people to pierce. People who are getting a piercing for reward, losing weight, getting a new job, losing a bad ex, whatever it might be. People who just are happy in general is my favorite piercing. Piercing long enough, it doesn't matter what it is to me. It's all about you. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who, have you noticed any difference in hearing with your ear? No, not much different here. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for being here. This was such a great, fun live stream. If you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Tell your friends about the channel and have them join in us here, too. So the more people we have, the more fun this is. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. And, of course, keep putting those in your body. See you all in the next video. And how to stop my video now.